On the outskirts of a rural village sits a large two-story house surrounded by dense, overgrown greenery. Despite its prime structural value and ample living space, this property remains in a state of permanent decay. Over the years, prospective buyers and curious locals have attempted to enter. Nearly all report the exact same phenomenon: a heavy, disembodied voice echoing from a locked upstairs bedroom, ordering them to get out. This creates a forensic anomaly. A valuable piece of real estate has become completely untouchable by the living market. House number 7 is no longer an empty building. It is a space actively and aggressively occupied by a presence that refuses to be evicted. To understand how a family gets caught in a space like this, we have to look at Amit Verma. Amit was a staunch skeptic and a government employee recently transferred to a rural posting. He needed to secure immediate, affordable housing for his wife and 2 young children. This comparative chart illustrates the glaring anomaly Amit chose to ignore. The average cost of a multi-bedroom home in the area was quite high, yet house number 7 was offered by an absentee landlord for just 5,000 rupees a month. Amit rationalized the low price. The estate agent claimed the owner lived abroad and simply wanted someone to maintain the property. When Amit noticed a heavy padlock sealing off one of the upstairs bedrooms, he dismissed it entirely, assuming it was used for extra storage. Driven by a rigid atheism, Amit also refused to perform a Griha Pravesh, the traditional Indian spiritual cleansing ritual meant to purify a new home before a family moves in. By relying strictly on economic logic and skepticism, Amit walked his family directly into an unprotected, preoccupied trap. Once the family moved in, the environmental anomalies began at a low, easily dismissible level. Amit's wife, Neha, heard phantom footsteps behind her in the living room and watched kitchen lights operate by themselves. She tried her best to rationalize them away. Finding no traction with the skeptical adults, the phenomena shifted tactics and began targeting the most vulnerable subjects in the house, the children. Amit's young son, Arav, started interacting with unseen entities. He reported playing upstairs with a young phantom boy who was accompanied by a hostile, shadowy old woman. The visual manifestations soon reached the daughter, Dhriti. She walked into the kitchen to find 2 dark figures crouched low against the floorboards, eating putrescent black food that filled the room with the smell of rot. The haunting moved from the background to the center of their lives, evolving from flickering lights into direct psychological pressure. Seeking to reclaim the house, Neha made a fatal mistake. She broke the established physical boundary of the property by unlocking and cleaning the sealed upstairs bedroom. When the children reported more activity, Neha returned to that upstairs room. There, she discovered the entities in full physical manifestation. 2 bodies were lying entirely motionless on the dusty floor, their eyes wide open, staring directly at her. A heavy, booming voice suddenly filled the room, issuing a direct ultimatum. "This is my house. Get out of here." Unlocking the room removed the last barrier between the family and the entities. The ghosts were no longer just echoes. They were actively defending their territory. Hitting his breaking point, Amit finally brought in outside experts. He hired paranormal investigator Dr. Anshul to map the house with monitoring equipment. This schematic details the technological failure. The moment the investigators entered the upper room, their EMF meters and temperature sensors registered an immense presence. The equipment violently spikes into the red zone, and then every single battery instantly flatlines to 0. With science neutralized, Amit pivoted to a spiritual countermeasure. He hired Tantric Mahakal Giri to execute a house cleansing ritual using mantras and holy water. The ritual triggered a violent poltergeist reaction. Black burns appeared across the walls, the structure shuddered with loud bangs, and small objects and debris violently flying across the room forced the spiritual team to retreat. When both modern sensors and ancient rituals fail simultaneously, the residents are left with no defense. The entities hold total control over the environment. Before leaving, the tantric delivered a final assessment. The spirits are bound to the architecture itself. Exorcism fails because the haunting is part of the house's foundation. Amit surrendered. He abandoned his skepticism, forfeited the remainder of his prepaid rent, and immediately evacuated his family. Shortly after the family fled, a final piece of evidence emerged. A vintage international death certificate confirmed that the absentee foreign landlord had died suddenly in his home abroad. The entity's influence extended far beyond the property line in India, punishing the owner who attempted to profit from their prison. Today, house number 7 stands exactly as the Verma family left it. It is entirely untouched by the living real estate market, secured only by a rusted padlock on a weathered wooden door. We carry an inherent belief that human intervention allows us to sanitize and claim any space on Earth. Deeply corrupted environments prove our tools have limits. When a real estate deal seems inexplicably disconnected from market reality, the true cost is usually hidden in the floorboards. We view abandoned land as territory waiting to be claimed, but the evidence from house number 7 suggests that some structures operate as physical crypts, and they must remain forever sealed.